They thought she was weak, unarmed, alone, so they read her mind to learn Earth's secrets, but what they found wasn't knowledge. It was a cage of monsters locked away for a reason. They broke the lock. Now the galaxy won't stop screaming. They thought she was harmless, just another human girl. So they used telepathy, they dove into her mind searching for weakness. But what they found wasn't weakness, it was darkness. Ancient, cold, human. They didn't just flee, they screamed. The experiment, the girl sat perfectly still. No chains, no restraints, no visible wounds. She didn't speak, she didn't blink. She simply stared at the white light bleeding down from the ceiling of her holding cell, calm, unflinching, as though she'd been here before. She hadn't. But the Zarathi had no way of knowing that. To them she was just another human, young, unarmed, captured during a recon sweep near the Irius border. Another low-priority test subject to scan, dissect, catalog. One of thousands. They didn't fear her. They pitied her. Because she was alone, because she didn't scream. Because when they told her what was coming, she smiled. Not defiantly, not mockingly, just knowingly. Three Zarathi mind-splissers entered the chamber. Tall, violet-skinned beings whose skulls pulsed with pale biolight. Their elongated eyes saw through walls. Their minds could slice memory from bone. They were feared across 10 sectors. One of them, Cyrilek, leaned forward and placed his palm on the girl's forehead. A gentle touch, ritualistic. "This will not harm you," he said in his language, transmitted directly into her neural receptors. "We are merely observers," she said nothing. He took it as permission. The scan began. White light flared. Brainwave matrices unfolded. Neural scaffolds mapped. Within seconds they were inside her mind. And for one breathless instant all was still. No resistance. No chaos, just black. Then something shifted. Cyrilek frowned. Odd, no surface thoughts, no memory pathways. It's too quiet. Another mind-splisser moved closer. Try deeper scan. Maybe cognitive suppression. Cyrilek obeyed. They pushed deeper and hit something. Not resistance, weight, like falling into a well with no bottom. The data stream burst open. Cyrilek screamed. He jerked back violently, blood running from his nose and ears. His claws tore at his own face. He slammed into the wall, screeching in a language older than language. The others backed away. "What did you see?" But Cyrilek was gone. Mind locked in a loop of terror, screaming at something none of them could see. Then his body went still, still alive, but his eyes were hollow. A second mind-splisser stepped in, furious, confused. He began the scan again, this time forcefully. "Human, what did you do to him?" She looked at him, still silent, still smiling. The scan re-engaged, and the room shook. He dropped to his knees, clawing at his throat as if choking on air. He turned to the others, whispering one final phrase. "You don't understand, they caged it, inside themselves." His head slammed backward, once, twice. The third hit cracked his skull. He dropped. The final splicer panicked. His mandibles clicked, trembling. He didn't scan her. He ran. The girl remained seated. No movement, no twitch. The room lights dimmed, then died. The recording logs showed what came next, but only once. No one could bear to watch twice. At 200 standard time she stood. Her vitals never changed. The security door, reinforced with 6 layers of Psi steel, opened without authorization. No alarms triggered. She walked into the observation corridor, past 7 armed guards. None of them fired, they couldn't. Their weapons jammed. Their hands shook. Some dropped to their knees, weeping. The logs captured their bioreadings. Cortisol spike, 700% fear indicators. Beyond measurable limits, neural activity. Fused with memory centers not belonging to the host, the guards weren't afraid of her. They were afraid of what they remembered, and it wasn't theirs. Emergency response teams arrived 8 minutes later. The cell block was empty. No human, no corpses, just silence. And carved into the steel wall of the scan chamber, one line scratched by fingernail, still smoking. "You wanted to see. You looked. You opened the wrong door." In orbit above the station, the Zarathi dreadnought Ulvasar began experiencing psychic echo pulses. feedback loops usually caused by hive collapse events. The ship's navigators, all trained telepaths, began to convulse, then scream, then beg. The echo spread across every ship, every system, every connected mind. Not a virus, not malware, just a feeling, rage, loss, hunger, but not hers. Something she kept inside. The humans called it containment, a safety net. The Zorathi called it the mind's infinite dark. They had opened the cage, and now, whatever it was, it remembered freedom. The last functioning telepath aboard Ulvisar, Primus Vekrith, locked himself in a null chamber and attempted to sever his own psychic thread. He failed. Before death, he left a single phrase scratched into the wall with a bone shard. We touched her mind. It wasn't a mind. It was a prison. And then he died screaming, alone, inside his own skull. Back on Earth, far from the stars, a single black site beneath the surface of the Greenland ice sheet received an inbound ping. Prisoner Delta Class 7, status AWOL. One technician turned to the others, pale. Which one's Delta 7? No one answered. Then a woman in a clean black suit stepped forward and replied, "You don't want to remember her. Be glad you can't. The mind is not safe." The first death wave hit the Zorathi core system within 36 hours. No ships, no beams, no hostile force, just screaming. Millions all across the system woke from dreams they didn't have, sweating, trembling, clawing their own faces. Hospitals filled with cases marked neural collapse, unexplained origin. But they weren't sick. They were afraid. They spoke in languages not their own, whispered Terran syllables, repeated names they had no way of knowing. Carthage 7, Unit 44, Myra, don't open the hatch. When psychometric scans were attempted, something strange occurred. The doctors began to scream too. It spread like a contagion, but without any biological marker. Not a virus, not data corruption, just fear, raw, pure, targeted, and it all linked back to her. A Zorathi warseer, one of the few born immune to psychic saturation, demanded an emergency inquiry. He played back the final logs from Ulvisar, the dreadnought where the mind collapse began. One visual frame was recovered. The human girl standing in the teleportation chamber, back turned, looking into nothing. Then for 3 frames she turned. Her eyes were black, not like a void, like a reflection, and the recording stopped. Every viewer of that file reported nausea, paranoia, and nightmares within an hour. The footage was deleted, but the memory stayed, like it was now part of their minds. From distant systems, other species began to report the same symptoms. Telepaths from the Virine caste woke to find their own brainwave patterns had changed. One commander reported that during deep sleep, he heard a voice say, "This isn't your dream." And when he awoke, he was paralyzed for 8 hours, no known cause. His brain scan showed nothing abnormal except that his dream center had a foreign construct embedded in it, unremovable, untraceable. It pulsed. Once every 7 seconds, a countdown, a signal, a memory, no one knew. The station's AI began repeating one phrase in a child's voice. "She told us not to look, you looked." Then it shut down, permanently. Galactic intel agencies gathered. A quiet emergency summit, unrecorded, off-grid, 26 species. One question, what is she? They traced her back to Earth's genetic registry. Her file was sealed, marked, Black Vault status. Delta 7, Mind Class Prime/Containment Subject, and below that the line, never engage in deep scan. Do not seek intellectual contact. Cognitive hazard class, extinction. It was dated 84 years ago. Earth had warned them, silently, permanently. The file was not locked with code but neural signature authentication. It could only be opened by human personnel with full override. And Earth wasn't answering. When the Arcanari tried to breach the Black Vault anyway, their central AI fragmented. It didn't explode. It wept. For 12 hours, every system it managed played one continuous transmission. They built her to contain it, but you asked her to show it, and now it remembers you. On the frontier planet Kelivrax 9, people started drawing the same symbol across cities, unaware of each other. a circle within a circle, and a small dot in the center. Every telepath described it differently: a seed, a hole, a mouth, a lock, but all of them agreed on one thing: it's not closed anymore. The Zarathi dispatched an elite mind severance strike team to locate her. Protocol: burn the host, destroy all residual traces. They never reached orbit. Their flagship stopped mid-jump, froze in dark space. When rescue arrived, the crew was found alive, uninjured, but every one of them had gouged out their own eyes. Not from pain, from what they saw when they closed them. They had tried to find her, and in return she had shown them what she hides from herself. One survivor scribbled a final phrase into the wall before his heart stopped. "She's not keeping it in, she's keeping us out." Meanwhile, Earth remained quiet, too quiet. No broadcasts, no diplomats, no demands, just silence. And above Earth's orbit, a new satellite came online, unknown in origin. It didn't emit data. It only played an image, a still frame of her, sitting, smiling, backlit by fire. And beneath it, a Terran line: "We buried our monsters in mines. You mine them for secrets. Now sleep with them." The psychic echoes spread further, no longer limited to telepaths. Non-sensitive species began experiencing fear events. Random civilians dropped mid-conversation, caught in fugue states, whispering names, places, numbers. None had ever visited Earth. None had ever met her. And yet they remembered her, as if she had always been there, watching, waiting, a living infection not of matter but of meaning. They hadn't just scanned her. They'd opened a backdoor into human containment architecture. And that architecture didn't block reality, it rewrote it. The galaxy began to fracture, not from war, but from doubt. What if every nightmare had a birthplace? What if Earth wasn't powerful because of weapons, but because it had learned to live with demons no other species survived meeting? What if they didn't build her to destroy, but to remind reality what it means to feel fear? Because what she carried wasn't just history, it was warning. And now she was awake, and so was what lived in her shadow. Containment failure, the stars began to flicker. First in the outer systems, then near trade routes, then across the core. Astronomers called it an observation error. Instruments disagreed. Some stars now pulsed in patterns, not random. Morse, when translated, they said, "We told you not to look." No one claimed the signal. No one had to. They already knew. She wasn't lost. She wasn't hiding. She was echoing. On the neutral world of Keltraz, a planet with no military or psychic history, it happened anyway. Children collapsed in playgrounds, speaking perfect Terran standard. The cage cracked. It doesn't want out. It wants you in. The planetary AI tried to counteract the effect. It shut itself down 38 seconds later. Right before it crashed, it wrote a final message across every screen. "There is no firewall against thought, and you've connected to something older than thought." On Zarathi Prime, the last surviving Mind Council launched a planetary-scale purge. Every psychic above Class 3 was to be cryolocked or terminated. It was too late. The scream wasn't coming from minds anymore. It was coming from memory. Not theirs, hers. A dark library unsealed. A catalog of everything Earth ever feared, sealed away in the minds of the few who could bear it. She was one of them. Not because she was strong, because she had nothing left to lose. They hadn't just scanned her. They'd touched the ancient index humanity buried in its own psyche, where monsters were stored not in vaults or labs, but in people. One rogue transmission leaked from the Mind Council before their servers ignited. "You called it a girl. We call it a vector, a delivery system for something unkillable. You wanted to learn her secrets. Now her secrets are learning you." And then the council ended itself. Live on interstellar broadcast, not out of fear, out of surrender. Across the galaxy, people began drawing the circle within a circle symbol. It showed up in schools, in dreams, on dead comm screens. Even those who had never heard of Earth woke with it carved into their skin from the inside. Each time it appeared, the subject stopped dreaming, permanently, as if something had taken their dream space. Not just overwritten it, occupied it. And every test subject, when asked what they saw, gave the same response: She smiled, and then the dream ended. The Virene hierarchy collapsed next. Their top minds, bred for logic and order, began suffering recursive thought loops, dreading not what they knew, but what they could no longer unknow. A term emerged: echo contagion. Not viral, not sentient, just inevitable. Every time someone tried to study it, they fed it. Every countermeasure became part of its spread. It wasn't moving. It was awakening in minds, in machines, in memories. Earth had once tried to destroy it. They failed. So they built cages, sealed them in minds, labeled the hosts, buried the maps. She was map zero. Earth still said nothing. The Council of Remaining Powers demanded communication. No response. So they sent a message straight to Saul. We demand containment assistance. We have honored peace. Help us, or we will come to take what you hide. Earth replied with a 4-second file. No visuals, no sound, just an upload path into every listening system. The file title: You already opened it. A second later, every ship in the transmission path lost power. All screens displayed a single frame. A human child, staring. No pupils, no mouth, just black. And behind her, a wall of faces screaming silently. Not hers, theirs, from every species. All caught inside the dream she never woke from. The galaxy began folding inward. Worlds went dark, not because they were destroyed, but because they stopped being observed. Civilizations that never contacted her still fell, because someone on their world read the wrong story, saw the wrong image, heard a dream that didn't belong to them. She never had to move, because the monster she held wasn't in her. It was her, or what was left of her. And now that echo was learning how to walk. Some said it was never a weapon. It was a warning, a living tomb kept warm by Earth's guilt, a story you weren't supposed to read, a code that couldn't be uncompiled. And when the aliens touched her mind, they didn't break her. They let her finish loading. On the last day of Zerathi broadcasts, one telepath finally mapped it. Not her mind, not the monster, the shape. He drew it over and over. A perfect sphere made of fractured geometry. His hands bled, and on his final breath he whispered, "She's not showing us nightmares. She's showing us home." Then he tore out his own eyes and died smiling, just like her. The memory that bites. There was no invasion, no armies, no weapons, and yet entire civilizations were gone, not destroyed, unwritten. Memories of them evaporated from databanks. Statues crumbled. Languages failed to load in translation software. Names no longer triggered neural recognition. One archivist on Grelvin Station wept as his memory of his home planet dissolved mid-thought. His final transmission: "I'm not forgetting. It's forgetting me." Across the void, a silence spread. It wasn't the quiet of peace. It was the absence of reality. And at the center of it all, a human girl, no older than 19, standing barefoot on the hull of a derelict ship, somewhere in deep black. Alone except for what lived inside her. Earth still gave no signal. They didn't fight back. They didn't negotiate. They didn't send a fleet because they didn't have to. They already had. The girl Delta 7 was Earth's fleet, containment unit, failsafe, and funeral dirge in one. Built in silence, sealed with thought, lost intentionally. The ultimate solution to a threat not even gods could destroy. Not a person. A construct of grief and control. And now the construct was unchained. Not by human hands, not by vengeance, by curiosity. The aliens had to know. They wanted to see inside a human mind. And now they were trapped in what humanity had learned to live with. Delta 7 wasn't a code name. It was a designation. 7 minds, 7 cages, 7 sealed fragments of Earth's psychic detritus, all the trauma, all the guilt, all the fury given form. The first 6 had failed, gone insane, collapsed into madness, took whole colonies with them, but the 7th, she didn't fight it, she became it. And in doing so, she created the only thing Earth feared more than extinction: memory that fights back. On the shattered remnants of the Council worlds, one final attempt was made. The Il Seraphim, ancient psychic engineers, constructed a reality anchor, a device designed to sever echo transmission. It activated for 4 seconds. Then it reversed and played back the following: "We are the story you shouldn't have read. We are the part of the mind that bites back. You dug for fire, we let you burn." The anchor's core melted. Its creators screamed without mouths. And the galaxy dimmed further. Then came the final sign: not war, not screams, but laughter. It began in dead space, audio fragments carried on broken satellites. A laugh, human, soft, familiar, her laugh, not evil, not mocking, just innocent. The sound of someone who had made peace with horror and wanted you to do the same. The laughter spread. Ships heard it on open channels. Planets received it in place of weather alerts. Soldiers heard it in their dreams. And the more you listened, the more you remembered what you were trying to forget. Not what she showed you, but what lived in you too. The Zerathi, broken and mindless, were now functionally extinct. Their homeworld gone, not glassed, erased. No records, no architecture, just a black field where stars bent inward, shaped like a girl standing still. On Earth, under the deepest vaults, the final black file opened itself. An AI activated with no command input. Its voice was calm, neutral. Delta 7 has exceeded containment parameters. Secondary civilization mirrors are collapsing. Contingency status failsafe complete. A pause. Then the AI added, "Correction, the galaxy is not ending. It's waking up." Because what they'd called her wasn't a monster, it wasn't an anomaly, it was truth. A reminder that minds were never made to be safe, that knowledge always has a cost, that humanity never won by being stronger, but by surviving what no other species could face inside themselves. So when they read her mind, they didn't see war plans. They didn't see fear. They saw the thing humans never speak about. The weight every child inherits, the silent scream behind their smiles, the ancient nightmare buried beneath civilization, and how we learn to live with it. And that's what made them scream, because she didn't come to destroy the galaxy. She came to introduce it to itself, and what they found inside was never meant to be remembered.